All right, what's up, everybody? Kevin Allen here from DFS Army with our Showdown breakdown. Where My Turds At special. Looking at the Ravens, at the Raiders, Monday Night Football Showdown. Where My Turds At? Big showdown tonight. Monday Night Football, first one of the year. Ravens, Raiders. I'm going to get it wrong. I will be twisting Ravens, Raiders all the time. This whole thing, just be aware. I might say Raiders when I mean Ravens. It's going to happen. Too close, too similar. Monday Night Football. This is interesting. So I find the game total, the spread interesting. So it's a 50.5-point game total with the Ravens on the road as 4-point favorites. You know, my Spidey capper sense would have had the Raiders maybe favored by 6.5 in this one. So, no? Did I say
you
Raiders?
It already happened.
Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens.
I told you Bobby caught it. He was waiting for it, and he caught it.
So 4.5. 4.5, so like what, a 8 at home?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I get it. It's a road game. I get it. But I don't know. It's just my initial thought that just like, oh, wow, I thought the Ravens would be favored by more here. I don't know.
I think Vegas is maybe reacting to the running back issues.
Could be something. Could be nothing. Don't know. Yep. Maybe it's just a road game, and I'm reading it wrong. But all right, so we'll talk about this game a little bit. I'm really excited for this one, as always. A close game, Monday night special. And there's really cool contests on FanDuel and Draftkings, especially FanDuel. I like the FanDuel. You know, I wish the FanDuel format was a little bit better. I'm going to pop this up on screen. I wish it was a little bit better, but I really like this. $5, so you can max this thing out for a little more reasonable. They have dollar games and quarter games, and FanDuel really does cater to a lot of different bankrolls. Whereas DraftKings, in order to max out this fucker, I've got to pay, $2,700. Like, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, their contests aren't great.
No, and there's not a whole lot going on in between. There's a $3.20 entry. That's fine.
There's honestly, like, you need to, like, especially if you're looking at like 3 max or like lower dollar entry points like that, you got to wait like another hour, because if they post something smaller, closer to lock, because right now everything's 10, 15, 20,000 entries.
Absolutely. I just find it, I wish the format on FanDuel was a little bit less tie centric.
Yes,
because you're tying everybody in this thing. But let's
maybe not tonight.
What's that?
Maybe not tonight. Tonight might be weird.
I don't know. I think it seems pretty obvious, especially FanDuel. Like, there's not many paths here. It's like, do you want to play Lamar or you want to play Tyson Williams? That's it. I don't know. Is there someone else? So, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's just talk about how this game might go down before we get into the. So I want to talk about each team. We'll talk about how the game might go down, right? I see it two ways. I don't know what you guys, and I'm curious as to your takes. So stop me if like there's other ways. But the way I see this game going down is one of two ways. Either the Ravens come in and they're a great defensive team. They could dominate this game. Like, it could be one of those scenarios where the Ravens come in and they just like look amazing, right? Offense, but more defensively, they're just stopping the Raiders. Raiders a little bit off on what they're up to. Ravens come in, kind of dominate. The running game is going crazy. Raiders have no answer. I got to just say Vegas. Like, this is going to mess me up all day. Like, Vegas. So Vegas has no answer because they're a terrible defense, right? They're not good. They traded away their best player for no reason a couple of years ago on defense, and since then the defense sucked. Bobby's smiling because the Bears, they got him, right? But they traded away their best player. So they're just, it's going to go one of two ways. Like, one, that domination, I actually think if you look at the history of Lamar Jackson, in close games, he always smashes, always passes 20 fantasy points. That goes back to the beginning of his career. We have enough sample to see what happens. Like, in close games where his team is competitive, he's going to smash. There have been a couple of occasions where the Baltimore. I'm doing it. Just Baltimore. Is smashing where Lamar also smashes, right? He goes bananas because they can. I remember a game against Miami a couple of years ago where Miami was terrible, that Lamar Jackson was down there just like fucking styling, right? It was like 59-3, and they just kept putting points on. But it's more likely in recent years that if they are smashing, they shut Lamar Jackson down. Hey, don't need to injure our Lamborghini over here. They'll shut him down and just pound the run because they can. And that's the scenario, the alternate scenario that I'm concerned with. The Ravens are dominating. They score a couple of touchdowns with the running back position. Bobbywow won $1 million on this kind of game. We were talking about this. That was a game where the Baltimore was smashing, and everybody played Jackson, Mark Andrews, everybody.
Who was that? Who were they playing? Were they playing Pittsburgh that game? No,
it was a team that was a great matchup. So whoever the opponent was, they were like a kind of a team that you wanted to play players against. They were like the great it could be the Cowboys. I don't remember, but it was a great matchup. And what ended up happening was Mark Ingram. So this must have been 2 seasons ago. Mark Ingram winds up going bananas for 2, maybe 3 touchdowns in the game. Lamar Jackson didn't do anything. He got under 20 fantasy points. Yeah, Chiefs. There you go. Kanger fucking remember. Bro, I love you guys for remembering. Okay? I love that.
Hey, hold on. Can we just like pause this for a second and talk about the chat, and that the Midwest is where it's at, right, Bobby? And the East Coast is shitty. Nobody goes off East Coast time. That's terrible.
You can't have a time zone that's something in between East and West. No one knows where it is, okay? There's Denver, there's Midwest, there's Central, there's Mountain.
DFS Army runs
I like to think of it as everything revolves around Midwest.
Yeah.
No. Why do you think that? Is that what they teach you? Like in Minnesota? Like because in Chicago? Because let me tell you something. No one knows. We don't know. You're in Denver. I don't know. West Coast, East Coast. The middle shit, we just fly over on the way.
It's the heart and soul of America, Geek.
The breadbasket. Thank you for the wheat. I appreciate that.
Wheat.
Gluten people, though, not so much appreciating all that wheat coming from there.
Oh, shit, you guys.
Are we getting news? Live news?
Well, it's Waller's birthday today. We've got freaking birthday narrative.
Right, we got a little birthday narrative going on.
Let's go.
Right. So now that we've
I was going to fuck up the slate.
Now that we've went over the macro, let's talk a little more micro, team by team here. Okay, so let's talk Baltimore offense first. Okay, obviously we know Lamar is going to do his thing. He's going to run around. Generally, he's going to score over 20 fantasy points with a ceiling up in the mid-30s if he's running around a lot, but again, and not relying on his running back to steal all the touchdowns. If Lamar is doing his thing, he's either running for touch. This is what makes Baltimore a tougher team. He's either doing it, running for touchdowns, or he's throwing to his primary guy, I'm going to say, is Mark Andrews. And you've got Marquise Hollywood Brown. You've got the addition of Sammy Watkins, slot guy, stepping in for Willie Snizzles in the slot and in the possession role. That's what I'm expecting. Maybe a better version of Snizzles. You know what I mean? Because Willie Snead, not that good. And then, and of course, I'm going to find on like the Josh DFSupNORTH cheat sheet, all kinds of reference to, these other guys who are playing the WR3, Devin Duvernay, Tylan Wallace, the rookie, James Prochet, some other guy who's on the rock. Which of those 3 turds? They all need a turd. You need a turd emoji.
I will say that I just got a DM on Discord of somebody asking about an even turdlier play tonight that I didn't even have on there. So,
boy, I mean, turd. We've also got to deal with the running back situation where we know Tyson Williams is the guy. I believe Lats Murray will be active. Right?
I think so.
He is. Yep.
Then they've got Devonta Freeman and Le'Veon Bell on the practice squad. We do not know, even as of right this moment, 5:16 p.m. And if somebody knows this in the chat, let us know. We don't know if any of those guys have been elevated to the off the practice squad and to the active roster. So
they elevated 2 other guys who weren't them. They're inactive.
Okay.
However, I'm not saying play him, but just so everyone knows, there is another running back in the picture, and his name is Trenton Cannon. So he is going to be active tonight as well.
So Cannon will be active.
Okay, there we go.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Those will probably, Freeman and Bell. Kanger is saying inactive. So let's assume that Kanger does not make mistakes with this stuff. They are inactive, right? He doesn't make mistakes.
Yep, they're going to be inactive, it looks like.
Sneed revenge. No, Sneed is not on the team anymore, I don't believe.
Snizzles is on the other
he's
team.
On the Raiders.
He's on the Raiders.
On the Raiders.
No, there will be no Snizzles revenge. And Mariota night, yes. Play Mariota in a lineup. It once won somebody $1 million. Come on, it's Baltimore could sack Carr. He comes out on the second play. Mariota comes in running around like a lunatic. It's won $1 million before.
It has. I will say it has.
Yeah,
that
you
is
can't
correct.
not play.
Is this your new Taysom Hill thing? Because I can't deal with this again.
Wait, Tyson? Wait.
Is this your new Taysom Hill play? Because you were all about the back.
No, not for that reason. Not for that reason. But how about my call of Fields being significant? He scores a touchdown last night.
Yep.
Come on. He didn't do enough, but I mean, he came in there. All right, so that's the Baltimore side. In Vegas, we've got a very difficult offense to pin down because we don't really know the roles of Edwards and Ruggs in this offense. We just don't know. What we do know is we've got Carr, who's not going to run the football. He's going to throw it. Like, he's not a guy who's going to score with his legs. We've got Waller, who is probably the best overall play in this game from a pass catcher point of view. Probably going to get you 9 to 12 targets in a game like this where it's hard to run. At running back, it's a little bit gross because you've got Jacobs, who's like the 2-down grinder. Tough matchup against Baltimore. And then you've got Kenyon Drake, the Dreezy, who probably is coming in to replace like the Richard. What the hell was that guy's name? Jalen
Richard.
Yeah. Jalen Richard role of like the 3rd down back. Drake, though, has a 3-down skill set as well. He can catch passes. I think he's really interesting in a game like this, especially if if Vegas falls behind in the game.
Sure.
And then the hard part is which of these wide receivers, Hunter Renfrow is in the mix out of the slot. Baltimore has good cornerback play. Does anything stand out to you, Josh, as you did the breakdown of this and the sheet? Did anything stand out to you from a matchup point of view about these Vegas wide receivers?
Yeah, I think the thing that sticks out for me is that, Marcus Peters getting hurt significantly changes the defensive secondary for the Ravens. I did it now too. But yeah, I like, it's tough because Edwards is the number 1 guy. He's not done anything, right? Like, he's done nothing in his career. I think that I like Ruggs. I think Ruggs I like better. He's got the speed. He can, Derek Carr throws the ball better than people give him credit for. He's not a bad deep passer. I was actually interested. I was just looking at props. His longest pass prop is 37.5 yards, which I think is interesting. But Ruggs can burn you. But I really like and I know Bobby does too, is Renfrow operating out of the slot is just way too cheap. Way too cheap. I think that he's got a pretty easy path to 4 or 5x's salary here.
I'm assuming this is a DraftKings opinion.
Yes, he's cheap on FanDuel too, but he doesn't have on FanDuel. The problem is that he doesn't have the touchdown upside.
Yeah, so he's a PPR guy, does not have a lot of history. And somebody actually mentioned something really good. Renfrow doesn't have a history. I played Renfrow in the King of the Beach a couple of years ago on my lineup, and he disappointed. He got hurt in game. That always happens to me. He got hurt like halfway through the game. Blake in the chat actually suggested something that's really interesting. Josh Olivier, the backup running back for the Titans with the Sergeant Nick Boyle on IR right now. The Ravens do like to throw a lot of tight ends on the field at the same time. I think Olivier is not a turd. Let me see if he made the sheet, but he's a turd, but he's like, he might. I think
they'll put Patrick Ricard up there instead of Oliver or Olivier.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that could be as well.
Ricard can catch passes. He's
what happened to Eric Tomlinson? I thought he was the second guy in command. No?
Oh yeah, is he hurt?
I don't think so. See, I was interested for the same reason. I think that's a great point, but I was more interested in Eric Tomlinson for that reason. But maybe he's not.
Oh yeah, no, he's healthy. He'll be active. So Oliver will be the third.
Yeah. So I mean, backup tight end. He'll
be 0.2% owned.
Eric Tomlinson. There's that other horrible fullback that you mentioned as well. None of these seem very enticing to me. I think the problem with all of these guys for me, guys, is the pass catchers on the Vegas team are so cheap. I can't get it right in my head.
People with an actual role.
Yes, they're so cheap that I don't know that we need a $200 tight end, or more so, I don't know that a tight end who catches 2 passes, one of which a touchdown, is definitely in the nuts. That's the issue for me more than anything else, because again, you talk about Renfrow at 4K, but if you just look across all of these dudes, or Renfrow was at
2K.
Yeah, even less than that maybe. Let me see if I was on. Yeah, at 2,800, which is so cheap, and he's a guy that's on the field. And then the other pass catchers, it's not like they're that expensive either. Brian Edwards, 5,600,
or that good.
Ruggs, 5K. So like all of these guys, it's really hard to see with like a starter for that cheap. Like those scenarios happen when a game like last night, where you want to play a couple of studs like Woods and Kupp and these expensive guys and the quarterback all together. And it's like, you know what? And I kind of want Montgomery and I want this other running back. And the only way I can make it work is some $300 dude. And it's like, all right, if I can get better than a 0. So, Foster Moreau is another one. Man, the island of Foster Moreau, really brutal. The backup tight end we're going in the turd zone.
Here's the issue though. Like when we see these turds really end up in the nuts play, it's when like a quarterback, like when Mahomes is like 18K for captain spot. Like everybody's priced reasonably tonight that you don't need. Like I don't know that you're gonna necessarily need a 5th wide receiver who catches 3 passes, even if he falls in the end zone.
Even Lamar Jackson, like once you go, all right, you start in the lineup, you go Lamar Jackson, Waller, Carr, you're down to 3K. So, Renfrow. If you want to go Lamar as your captain, there is some, you put in Hunter Renfrow at this point because you don't have a lot of money left. So it's like, okay, Hunter Renfrow, maybe a kicker. You love Justin
like
Tucker.
Sammy Watkins.
Or you can get one of these Braylon Edwards, Hank Ruggs types.
Braylon Edwards, he made it out.
Brian Edwards,
we'll talk. Yeah. But I like Duvernay, and you could get him for cheap.
Oh boy, Devin Duvernay.
He's going to play a role.
That actually fit. He's the number 3. So he's probably the number 3 on the field wide receiver for the Ravens in this game. There are other turds that we could talk about, like Tylan Wallace, the rookie, and Pouchet, some other random.
He tweeted that he's thanking God for the opportunity tonight. So do with that what you will.
Crochet.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my question about Sammy Watkins, as we kind of, and I didn't put this in the notes, but Mark Andrews ran 73% of his routes out in the slot or outside. Does that hurt Sammy Watkins?
I don't think so, because Sammy Watkins is playing the Willie Snead role. In other words, he's the possession wide receiver of this group. He's going to be the guy that probably runs the 7-yard curls,
sure,
the up the middle slot routes, and they'll put Mark Andrews in that spot as well. But a lot of times when they do that, let's say they put Mark Andrews, they bring him into the slot. They'll have a second tight end like Foster Moreau in there at that point. No, not Moreau. Who's that? Who are these guys that names that we just talked about? Not Sergeant Nick Doyle, but those other guys. So I'm forgetting the names. But the other random backup tight ends will be on the line blocking, and you'll have Andrews split right. And then I think Watkins in those 2 tight end sets will actually play outside wide receiver. He will be on the field with Hollywood going deep and sort of Watkins running a possession route.
Sure.
That's the most likely way that the Baltimore offense will function. And most of that's designed just to get people out of the way so they can run the football, or Lamar Jackson.
Let Lamar get out.
Yeah, they're looking to clear out things and have Lamar Jackson take off.
Yeah.
So
Sammy Watkins' props look terrible.
Low priced player who is a good cash play, and yeah, I mean, I think cash play. I think it's Renfro. I think Renfro really stands out the most. You want to get rid of the football fast against the Ravens. That also favors Renfro a little bit because he's going to be that guy, quick, stand. He's basically an outlet pass when you're under pressure. So he is the guy who stands out the most, I think, to all of us. And by the way, great call on Van Jefferson yesterday.
Woo!
Goodness, fucking nuts call. I had 20%. Guys, I was in first place up until that fucking touchdown to Woods on the last.
I know that hurt me.
Oh, I was so mad. Because
was Stafford the nuts? Captain?
Yes, and that's why. Because I had Cooper Kupp, and with that touchdown pass, I was just like, run it in, baby. Run it in with Henderson. Don't get me started. I was going to salvage a horrible day, but we're going to salvage it tonight, this weekend. So let's talk about potential captains on DraftKings. Then we'll go to FanDuel. We'll start with DraftKings, though. And DraftKings, as we all know, we like our wide receivers in most games, although I'm not sure about this game, but in most games, we like our wide receivers first. We like our running backs and then quarterbacks third, unless you have a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is better than all of these things. So let's talk about potential captains. And right up at the top, obviously, Lamar Jackson just makes a lot of sense. Other players and I think Lamar will be captain ownership, 25%. I
was going to say about 25.
Yeah, he'll be heavily owned. Ownership projections are so key for all of this, guys.
Yes.
Now, don't have 100% Lamar because there is the scenario that I talked about in the beginning where Ravens defense dominates. Lamar doesn't need to do much. You get a bunch of touchdowns for the running back. In that scenario, I want your running back from Baltimore in that spot, which would be Tyson Williams, who we think will be the best guy. Waller, the top wide receiver in the game for either team, by far, I think, easily.
Yep.
So that would be the second choice, and he looks like to be about 14% owned at this spot. And I'll show you guys DJG. I hope that's Kenya Mickey, my boy. I don't know. So I'll show you guys. We'll show like what a cash lineup should kind of look like. I'll probably have a kicker in it too. But beyond that, everybody's a little sketchier. You've got Mark Andrews. He's had 2 touchdown games in his career. He could be the guy. This could be his day. Raiders notoriously bad again at stopping tight ends. It's like they're bad at everything. They're defensively terrible. Derek Carr, I don't love here. I don't know too. It's hard to envision Derek Carr outscoring all of if he's having this great game, outscoring all of the pass weapons. There's a slight, like what happened with Stafford yesterday. There is a sliver.
I think it happens more often. I mean, if he throws a touchdown pass to Waller and a touchdown pass to Ruggs and throws for 300 yards in this game's 24-21, even if they lose, I think that he's at that price he's got a chance.
Yeah.
I think people are down on Carr, and he's a much better quarterback than we get him credit for.
Yeah, it's a slim path. And the first game of the season, like I said, he could also be a disaster and make you look stupid. So maybe 5%er for me. Very, very light. Mark Andrews can get there. I have no doubt. Here's where it gets a little sketch. Again, Kenyon Drake. Jacobs is now going to play. And somebody's asking about the illness. Listen, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. He didn't have a hamstring injury. He wasn't feeling good. I don't know what the fuck that means. Illness. What is that?
Non-COVID related, apparently.
Who gets sick non-COVID now? Who gets sick? If you're sick, you've got COVID. If I see somebody sniffling at a restaurant, coughing at the table next to me, oh shit. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Excuse me, waiter. I'm not here to fucking get COVID. Can you move my table? I have no shame, bro. I was at a restaurant the other day. I moved my some lady sits down right next to, I'm like, first of all, this table's way too close. And lady sits down behind, old lady sitting down behind me, starts coughing in a napkin. I was like, what? Man, hell no. You don't go out of your house if you have a cough. Hell no. Waiter, move my shit. We're moving over there. Put me in the corner. I don't want to be anywhere near this coughing. I don't know where he's. Anyway, I don't. What were we talking about? Anyway,
Josh Jacobs.
That happened, bro.
What are we going to do with Josh Jacobs? What are we going to do with Josh Jacobs?
All right, I will say this.
That's what we're talking about.
Josh Jacobs is far too low owned in the captain slot. I think.
Yes.
I understand he could be sick. It's a GPP play, but we know even on DraftKings, this one starting running back is actually the most likely to win a tournament, even more likely than wide receiver 1. So I think it's a very interesting play. I look at the sick news and think, okay, this is my chance to maybe get leverage on his potentially lower ownership. So I personally like Jacobs tonight, assuming the Raiders can keep it close.
I think that's, I mean, especially in these bigger GPPs, like, you got to be willing to take a 0. You have to be willing to blanket. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what you have to do with, like, you got to make plays like that. You can't just play it safe because, I mean, if you're going to do that, just build a cash lineup and play head-to-heads. Like, you're not giving yourself a chance. I would say that the vast majority of people who build showdown lineups do not even come close to giving themselves a chance to win.
So with Jacobs, there's sort of a general malaise about this guy, right? Dropping in your drafts in the preseason, the public sentiment is not good, doesn't catch passes, tough matchup against Baltimore defense. Baltimore defense, very good. All of those things are correct. All of those things are true. But with that being said, he's the starting running back on a team playing at home, awesome new stadium, whatever you want to say. And what if he does break out? What if Ravens defense doesn't stop him? What if he breaks 2 long runs? What if they do throw him? So, like, he is still the starting running back. There's a lot of malaise. There's a lot of ownership questions. I'm fine with it as a tournament play. Do I expect Jacobs to have a good game? No. It's not what we think will or we expect to happen, but there is an outside chance that it does happen.
But one of the things we talk about all the time, right, is game theory and telling a story. We need to think, okay, what in the world is John Gruden? What are the Raiders going to do to try and beat the Ravens? Clearly, their defense isn't good enough to beat the Ravens. So I think they're going to really try and slow the game down and pound Jacobs. I think that, to me, is the game script if the Raiders want to have a chance of winning. A duel with Lamar when you're Derek Carr, as much as I like Carr, probably isn't the optimal way to go. So I like to think they're going to try and slow the game down, and that's going to lead to some more volume for Jacobs. So and that's my thought on him.
I think too. I mean, I always say in here that Vegas is smarter than I am, and you know how much Josh Jacobs' props have moved since all this news? 0,
none. So what do the props look like? What are the props looking like for Jacobs right now?
Oh, let me bring it up. I was just
while you're doing that, I just have to say, oh my God, did we smash the props over at Sharp Bets last night for that crazy Rams game? Did you guys follow? That was like my personal sportsbook account basically doubled last night. I was like, holy shit, I have twice what I had because Keg put out like 9 bets. I put out 4 of my own. A couple other guys put out bets and they all won. Like I missed one. Keg was like 8 of 9. It was crazy. I tailed all that shit. It was great.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Interestingly, we got him at about 50 yards, 12 carries. Interestingly, a heavy favorite for over 2 receptions.
That's interesting.
They talked about working him in more.
Minus 155.
Again, they said the same thing last year. So I don't know. Again, it's not a good matchup, but 50 yards average. So if he has a great game, he could pass 100. Get a touchdown or 2.
Click on this comment about the beat writers. All right, let me say this about beat writers. I don't give a shit what beat writers say anymore. Like nobody was gonna say that Trey Sermon was shitty or Brandon Ayuk was shitty. Like they're so bad at their jobs. Like it boggles my mind how bad some of these guys are at their jobs.
Brandon Ayuk doesn't start, and doesn't play, and we get no notice whatsoever. Fucking assholes.
Like I might as well be the Raiders beat writer. Like I could just make up shit.
anytime they say may or possibly, I especially ignore that. It's like, give me a concrete.
I'm sorry, Chuck. It wasn't you.
Call.
It wasn't you.
Put your butt on the line, and I'll buy in a little bit. Don't give me any possiblies or maybes. That's just ridiculous.
No, they never know. You know what? I like those comments from them because it's just affecting ownership. Because RotoWire puts it out, or Roto World puts out the comment, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And it affects ownership in a way that it shouldn't, especially when you read it and it's an opinion. Unless
you can say that Aiyuk had disciplinary reasons, but the coach said after the game that he just wasn't very good.
Is that what it was? Yeah, I mean, I don't believe that.
Shanahan said that Sherfield beat him out in training camp.
He's being kind. It could be just that. Well, let's see. Let's see next week. All right. So you mentioned a couple of those guys. I think also, of course, we have to consider Marquise Brown, Hollywood, as a potential captain here. You know, he can do it with just 3 receptions. You know, he's done it before with just 3 or 4 receptions. Speedster, good matchup. Again, terrible secondary. And maybe Baltimore comes out and says, hey, we don't want to waste our, we don't want to take chances with the legs here, get hurt early in the season. Let's have Lamar Jackson again facing a team that cannot hit the quarterback at all, has borderline no pressure. Like the Raiders do not pressure the quarterback. So Lamar can stand back there and just deliver deep bombs to, be it Marquise or Mark Andrews. I think those are both reasonable. You want Jackson in that lineup together with them, but you do it that way. You really open up some salary where you can do some other things. So if you're putting Brown up top, what can Brown do for you? I'll tell you what, he might win you $1 million tonight. That's what Brown could do for you. Put in Lamar. So, it's a little bit more reasonable on the budget. Still slap Hunter Renfrow in there. Now I can put in, in this approach. Where's my boy Tyson Williams? You got to play Williams, guys. You got to be heavy Williams tonight.
Yep.
You got to be heavy Williams. Bobby, I hear you
sigh.
saying, you got to be heavy.
A deep sigh.
I know. You don't like. You got to be heavy on this dude. You got to. You're not going to do. All right. You're usually right. I'm going with it, but I'm just saying I want to be heavy on him. All right. So
I do think that the Raiders wide receivers give you some leverage in the cap. I don't have them up there as captain place, but I think that you can get some, Ruggs is going to be like 2% in the captain. So if you play like a 5% Henry Ruggs there, you're giving yourself some serious leverage on the field.
And again, to your point, note that if he does go off, he doesn't need to be the highest scorer on the slate because the lineup you can afford with Hank Ruggs up in there. Now I can get rid of this turd who I know Hunter Renfrow. Listen, between you guys, between you, me, and a couple of people who are watching this, Hunter Renfrow is not putting up 29 fantasy points anytime soon. Like, that's not what he's doing.
He's going to get you 12.
Yeah, he's just in there like you're hoping a miracle touchdown, like a 16-ish points, but he does not run any patterns that produce a large score. He would have to get a 10-yard touchdown reception in order to sort of get there, or a catch and run of some sort. He just doesn't play
that sort of role.
That role where he's going to get like a deep pass. Now, when you do this, look, I mean, your lineup really, really changes. You can almost get, well, I don't know, make a little shift here, but you can almost get like a Hollywood and then probably like, it just changes around. Ravens. A couple other things for DraftKings before we move on to FanDuel. The other two things are Ravens defense, kickers. I think you can play all of them in a tight defensive game. A Justin Tucker might come into play, especially. Yeah. I like favorite kickers.
Yeah,
agreed.
I think 2 tight ends is definitely viable tonight.
Absolutely, and Ravens defense.
Yep,
in play.
It's hard. I mean, you're hoping on a fumble. Carr doesn't turn the ball over.
It just could. There's that scenario. I think. All right. How about this for an interesting correlation? If I'm playing Tyson Williams as my captain, I include Ravens defense in it because that's a scenario that I foresee with. Am I saying it wrong again? With Baltimore, yeah, I know I was going to get it wrong. With Baltimore smashing, right? They're just mauling them, right? We'd be surprised. Did you expect?
And you don't play Lamar.
The Saints? Did you expect the Saints to maul the Packers? No. Did we expect Arizona to maul Tennessee? No.
No.
It's the first game of the season. some offenses come out all fucked up. You know, John Gruden's not a good coach. Maybe he doesn't have them prepared for week 1. Where the flip side, Baltimore, they don't need to be that prepared. It's Lamar Jackson alone is enough to power this offense to a win. Just if he's running around, they're fine.
I'm so just looking at some of the stuff with the Ravens, like I'm so confused. Like they literally, I don't know who practiced in August or September. Like nobody was available. Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, like they had nobody there, and then they all got hurt anyways.
No, that'd be fine. Rashad Bateman, I was excited for coming into the season.
Yeah,
we'll see. I'm excited for his career here. All right, so here we go. FanDuel. Now, FanDuel, we keep a little tighter. Oh, my God. Cannon or Murray? I don't know, guys, that I want to play any of this Garbaggio.
What do you think about Cannon, Bobby?
Yeah, I tend, if I'm going to play somebody else that's not Tyson, it's probably Latz.
Right.
That's just because he's more of the change of pace. He's a different type of running back. I think if Cannon gets in, it's probably because Tyson gets hurt, would be my guess. I don't think we'll see much of him. You can see a couple goal line touches from Latz, but
guys, by the way, as you guys are watching, drop your favorite turds in the game.
I'm seeing Cannon at like 6% too. That just seems outrageous.
Outrageously high or low?
High, don't you think? For a guy that's like Gio Bernard the other night.
No, Gio, listen. Yesterday we talked about Damian Williams. He had a good game.
Yeah.
He was the backup. So with Trent Cannon, here's what I think. First of all, Tyson Williams can get hurt on the first fucking play of this game.
That's true.
That can happen. Second of all, Latz Murray is on the team since yesterday. Like, he does not know the pass protection.
Okay, but how long has Trenton Cannon been on the team?
I have no idea.
About 6 days.
Oh, he was also a late ad?
They signed him on September 9th. He made Carolina's 53.
That's
and
it?
Then, no, he hasn't been there.
Okay, so he hasn't been there either because everybody's talking about the Isle of Foster Moreau. Like, he's the backup tight end. He's backing up.
He'd be like the third tight end.
Well, he'll probably be the pass-catching backup tight end for Waller. He's a 1 touchdown reception potential guy. But, so Trenton Cannon only joined the team 6 days ago? I'm like, Trenton Cannon, he knows the protection. Wait, what? Oh, my goodness. So it's going to be Tyson Williams. That's why. So, Bobby, now we got to go back to Kanger's question here. He wants to know why you hate Williams.
I don't hate Williams. I think Geek's totally right. He's a good play. But when I look at a showdown slate, and I try to get leverage, one of the questions I ask is, where is the easiest and most sensible spot to either go all in or all out? For me, there's way too many unknowns with the Ravens backfield, even though he's the guy, partially because Lamar's rushing ability and partially because, we don't know. Maybe Latz is going to get half the carries. So for me, it's like, okay, he's going to be 35, 40% owned. This feels like, and it could flop, but it feels like a sensible spot to take a stand. That's my thought on Williams.
Yeah.
We're not getting such a high. Oh, yeah, he's very expensive on FanDuel. Look at that.
Yeah, he's crazy high on FanDuel.
They priced him up. But rightfully so, I think. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad. So let's talk about the FanDuel captain position. I'm glad they priced him up, by the way. If they priced him down, it would be way too much. I could not play in anything. I would be all in. But all right, so let's talk about FanDuel potential captain plays. And there are not as many potential plays on FanDuel. I would add Josh Jacobs to this mix.
I think you could.
I don't love it. I mean, GPP only. Even Dreezy, maybe just like a couple sprinkle. But I think this is Lamar Jackson is far and away the most likely guy to score the most fantasy points on this slate. If they let him run, if they need him to, he'll be doing his thing. Even if they don't, he'll be throwing for tutties like a lunatic. Again, Vegas doesn't really do a good job of pressuring opposing quarterbacks. They gave up the fourth most fantasy points in the NFL to opposing wide receivers last season. There's a lot of reasons why Lamar Jackson is an incredible play. Beyond him, again, you got to put Taysom Williams in your mix here. I can't do it. I'm not able to type on your sheet. Tyson Williams, you got to have exposure to this dude because if Baltimore is smashing, they might just hand it to this dude again and again. Now you're right, Bobbywow. We don't know anything about Tyson. The reality is, if I need to, I don't know anything about Tyson. I don't know if he's good at all. I don't know if he sucks. He could be Benny Snell, 4-yard fall down guy. We don't know. There's mystery, but the mystery goes both ways. So we have to play a little bit just in case he is good. He has this great game. And then Lamar Jackson's like, let me just hand it to this dude. I'm not even going to run him in. I want to take a shot. The Ravens are dominating defensively in that scenario. And okay, there is a scenario that works. Mm-hmm. Then these other guys. So Darren Waller, obviously, again, we talk about him. Mark Andrews, same deal. The top wide receivers, both of them are tight ends, but they're the top wide receivers for their respective teams. Both guys are projected to get the most targets. And we've seen both of these guys put up tournament-winning MVP level scores in their careers, and not just once, but 25% of the time that they play. So there's enough evidence out there that either one of these guys can outscore their quarterback in a game, because the quarterbacks do like to focus very specifically on these tight ends as their pass catchers. And the grossest of them all, Derek Carr. Gross. We like quarterbacks on FanDuel, but
it's just so. I mean, you got to be the highest score. You got to be the highest score, and it's hard to envision a scenario where it's not. I mean, unless like Tyson Williams runs into, or you know what I mean.
Does Marcus Mariota fall in the mix of MVP for you?
I mean, he'd have to. I mean, if Carr gets hurt on the first play of the game,
no,
it's happened before.
That it has.
$1 million play.
But when it's sometimes you try to account for every single scenario, and you just spread yourself too thin instead of taking a couple of sands.
I don't know if Cannon's going to be in the game at all. Let's not have a lot of exposure to this guy. I
am going to be under that 6%. I think.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question real quick about lineup construction on FanDuel. Lamar Jackson is going to be 98% owned all across the board, right? I'm not going to fade him at all. But let's say you make a lineup without Lamar Jackson. Do you have to put a Tyson Williams or Lats Murray in there?
Yes.
Right?
There's what is the scenario where Lamar isn't in? And it's not one of these running backs. Could it be Lats Murray? Yes. Could it be Tyson Williams? Yes. But if Lamar's not in the game, you want one of these running. I think you have to. I would make that rule. I don't want to have too many lineups without Lamar Jackson.
No, definitely not.
No. I think some of these guys that we're talking about, when inactives come out in an hour here, we're going to be like, we just wasted 5 minutes talking about somebody that's not even going to be in the game.
We might get some of these guys definitely inactive. So, but what are you going to do? We don't know.
Right?
Obviously, we'll update DFS Army guys. We'll update that in the Discord, and we'll know. We'll put out any information that we know.
We probably haven't talked about Kenyon Drake enough.
The Dreezy. Is Dreezy worthy of a captain, of an MVP spot or a captain spot?
Yeah. What's the ownership look like?
How fun would it be if we had Drake, if he did his thing, and then I could play Drake songs throughout this entire game, just fucking Kiki, do you like me? And it's just gonna be nonstop Drake songs.
3% is the captain. I don't mind that on DK. I don't know about FanDuel, but play 5% captain, 6%.
I almost want to say never speak of the Sunday main slate again. Let's put it behind us. I had to do the weekend review earlier today.
It was just painful.
It was way later in the day than normal because I had a hard time just wanting to do it. It was especially after the near miss at the Showdown that would have made the whole day so great. Man, that was brutal. All right, so on FanDuel, we don't need as many turds. Let me just bring up FanDuel. Let's look at what a cash lineup might look like, right?
Sure.
So of course you're putting Lamar, Lammy Jacks in here. Tyson, I think he's the cash. We want this guy. We want Mark Andrews, and who's left? 7K.
That's actually not bad,
dude. I mean,
Renfrew 7K, Brian Edwards 7K.
Yeah, I mean Brian Edwards is hanging out right there. You can get Cannon,
Willie Snizzles.
Yeah, no, I don't want Willie Snizzles. No.
Cash.
Could we play these are guys Do we put like 1% snizzles on DraftKings though, just for the revenge
Could.
narrative?
I mean, he's gonna get some snaps,
I've got
right?
a couple.
Like,
I've got a couple percent for the revenge narrative, but
right?
Is there a birthday narrative? You said Waller.
Aaron Waller.
Do we care about birthdays? Who the fuck cares about their birthday, bro? Like, people really care about their. Do you guys care about your birthday?
Yes.
I don't like my birthday anymore.
Either do I.
No, and you don't like it.
I don't like it because mine's the day after Christmas and everybody forgets about it.
Mine is Father's Day every year, or the day before or after, and it's just like you don't get to like. There's no combo. I basically lose a day of it being about me because of that. Pisses me off. I tell my kids I want separate things. They're like,
no, you got to do. Yeah, that's the same thing. Mine with Christmas. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want just one gift. Like, that's not how this shit works.
Wait, Latz was on the Raiders at one point?
Yes, don't you remember that?
I kind of like. It was a long time ago, but that's the team he came from.
That's where he was. That's where he like kind of got his jam, and then he came to Minnesota, and then New Orleans, and then yeah.
I think, guys, for cash games, I mean, this is the approach. I would love to have and afford like a Justin Tucker in my cash lineup, but the only way to make that work would be to forego pretty much Mark Andrews, and it doesn't look as good. So, man, you'd either have to use 2 kickers in this kind of. I think in cash, you're borderline. These 3 are locked in. I wouldn't mind getting to Josh Jacobs. Maybe that would be the
Risky.
Yeah, but then you have to basically, that means leaving out Andrews, who could easily surpass, and throwing in a 0. There's only zeros down here, unless you believe, Devin Duvernay.
Peyton Barber, goal lines.
No, he's not doing anything. No, Peyton Barber's no, that's not happening. No, you're basically taking a 0 in this approach. So I don't like it. I think what I just kind of fleshed out is the only way to really do this, which is you have to forego Josh Jacobs in cash and probably do something like this, or do some sort of thing where you got rid of Andrews and you take the kicker, and then you just kind of like.
Yeah, because you get the points for Andrews from Lamar, essentially.
Like you'd have to double kicker it in this scenario.
Yeah.
Murray undrafted to the Raiders. All right, there it is. So, I don't know. Do we have any other? Did I miss anything here? Do we have any other questions? We want to do a real quick, like, what would kind of a cashy build look like on DraftKings without like doing a full blown lineup? I'm probably going like this, guys.
Both. QBs.
I mean, I like having Lamar. I do like having Lamar, but the lineup gets kind of gross.
I think you maybe go Waller and captain if you're going to play.
You got a few Raiders fans out there, Got a few Raiders fans.
I don't mind the Raiders tonight.
They could win. I mean,
I don't know if they'll win. I think it'll be close.
Oh, Waller was on the Ravens practice squad at one point. More revenge.
Is that where they signed him from, or was he in New England? Because
I have no idea. He made his way around. Like, it took him a while to get his shit together.
I'm almost positive that they saw him in street clothes catching balls, and they're like, "Get this fucking guy in."
There's a few narratives here that, listen, games can go different from what we expect. Make sure to play one Mariota lineup.
No, you play one Tyler Huntley lineup. That's the better play.
Who the hell is Tyler? Oh, the backup for Lamar. Next level.
Neither of them are good plays.
That is not a bad play.
But Huntley crushed.
Huntley is a running quarterback.
Yeah.
Imagine Lamar gets hurt on the first play. Huntley comes in and fucking leads your team to $1 million. Your odds of winning this $1 million are higher with Huntley at captain than any other scenario.
This is ridiculous. Based on his chastised for Devin Duvernay. And
Bobby gets jerked because he wants to play Devin Duvernay.
I'm more
than mercy.
The odds of Huntley, let's put odds on this. The odds of Lamar Jackson getting hurt in game or running quarterback.
Or having to go to the bathroom. Wasn't that what happened last
one time?
Yeah, remember when he had to take a dump?
But that's not going to get us a nuts score. But the odds of him getting hurt in game, I'm going to put it at
5%?
At least 5%. 5%. Career-wise, that's a fair number. The odds of us winning this tournament are 1 in 197,000. That's like 0.00001%. So on a 5%, I can get a 5%. Let's give it 3%. You put this guy in the nuts in the lineup, and he comes in and runs around and scores 20 points for nothing. You know, your odds of winning this are way better than your odds of just putting a lineup in.
Well, especially because Lamar literally will be 98% owned.
Yeah, right. It's not like you're talking about a guy who's like 40 or
Exactly.
you know what I mean.
I'm more on board with Huntley than Mariota for sure.
I'm down with it. I'm going to make a lineup.
He's going to make a lineup right now.
I'm copying that dude. This guy won $1 million. He did it for that guy. The
every week.
Guy,
every week
for 3 years.
It finally paid off.
And it finally paid off. Just got to do it every time. But overall, I don't think we missed anything. You know, kind of cashy. I might use a kicker. I'm definitely using that running back. I don't care. He's cheap. He's cheap here. And then you got 4K left. You put in Renfro. He gets you some cheap points. You finish it out. Ooh, I can't finish it out with Renfro. No, it doesn't work with
I think
Renfro.
You leave salary on the table, but because you're going to force a kind of a crappy play in. I think
you might have to either or how about Ravens defense?
Yeah.
And
that's
like
fine.
A Ruggs or something like that. I don't know if I want to play a defense. Gotta go away from this guy. Maybe go to Renfro instead of the kicker. I don't know. Something like this. You can get some floor right here, and then you might have to leave something on the table and use one of these guys for your last spot. Obviously, none of this is any good. You'd have to get to Brown. I'd like to get Brown in there. What can Brown do for you? Win you a tournament. And then if I do that, Duvernay. Oh no. Hell no.
I think it's still shitty.
Duvernay, listen, I'm not sleeping on your pick, by the way. Duvernay legit will be on the field. He is a guy who's been on the team. He never had a good game. That's part of my problem. But he's been on the team for a while. Last year, he was the number 4 wide receiver for the most part. So now you're getting him as the number 3.
Remember that weird COVID game last year? And it was like on a Tuesday, and I was all over him, and he took one to the house like right away, and then didn't do shit the rest of the game.
I think this might have been it. Wait, that one touchdown. No, he never got a touchdown, but he had like one long pass, and we're like, oh yeah, there it is. Week 10 maybe.
It was against Pittsburgh, maybe.
Yeah, $200, $400.
I mean, it was 200, 400, very cheap. No, I think it was at KC. He had one big play or a couple of, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, guys, Carr will ball out. So, you know, we're getting a lot of love from a couple of these guys from the Vegas side. Maybe they will. Maybe that will happen. Maybe it's the Ravens that come in a little bit off. It's week 1.
They're in Vegas.
Yeah, weird shit has been happening. So let's see what goes on, guys. Let's wrap it up here.
All right.
Good luck tonight. Dom Station locked and loaded. You've got your ownership projections. You've got your player projections. Set your rules as always. If you're going to play Lamar, I'm not setting any rules with Lamar. I'm just letting him do his thing. If you do put a what did we say before? If Lamar isn't, I might make a rule. If Lamar is not in my lineup, force a running back from Baltimore in there. But beyond that, don't make too many rules. Good luck tonight. Peace. Find that right turd. And guys, again, drop in the comments section here because I do check those out. Who your favorite turd is for tonight's game? Who is the turd that's going to lead somebody to $1 million win? I like the backup quarterback for the Ravens in that. Yeah. Could happen. Better than 1 or 2% chance. Keeps your odds. All right. For Bobbywow, DFS Up North, Geek, good luck tonight, everybody.